Alright, so bye-bye, privacy. Say goodbye. You're never going to have it again. Rest in peace, privacy, you know. I guess, we lost privacy probably around, probably when the cell phone, right around that time, and technology got, pretty advanced, and we all started the cell phone and the internet. Everybody got a computer and started using that all at the same time, and then they started connecting, surveillance cameras to all of that, and everything got real connected real fast, and we just, it's gone now. I mean, you just don't have privacy whatsoever in terms of your everyday life. Like, it's pretty much known that some of this stuff is going to be tracked, whether it be through your cell phone or your phone at home, or what you're watching on TV, or being caught on surveillance cameras walking down whatever street, or at your office building on their surveillance. It doesn't matter. The fact is that and it's pretty much total. Not to say that anybody's looking at this stuff, but it all is being kind of tracked and put into a database somewhere. And I think that's pretty. It's not so good for some people, but for most of us, we're just so low down on the totem pole. We just don't matter at all, really, that it doesn't really matter that somebody's has a list of all the websites we've ever been to. Like, that doesn't really matter. And it's not because of Facebook. Facebook didn't make us lose our privacy. That's, some people like to think that that's a myth, and it scared people away from using Facebook, believe it or not. But Facebook is great in the terms of that you want to share with every single person you know, all your friends and your family, and even like some people you kind of don't even know, but you're still somehow friends with them, and they might see it. Like stuff like, oh, I got married, or I had a baby, or I got a new job. And this was all stuff that was going to be registered on a government form at some point, some point. So it doesn't really matter that, all right, they got the news, as soon as you did. Who cares? That's not what I'm talking about privacy. That's your public life anyways. You might not think of yourself as a private person to have a public life, but we all do these days. It's a kind of thing. We have our public persona. I mean, there's people, there's, like actors and actresses and, famous people. They work on their, PR, and they get people to, talk about the good things they do and try to not talk about the bad things. And that's PR, and people do that, as a matter of course today, just for average people. But how like totally surveilled are we? I mean, and cell phones, like, sure, they could track your calls back in whatever day, and the government could subpoena those records and blah blah blah. But now it's like it's all known, that they can just look at it whenever they want. They don't have to have a reason or whatever, and you don't know who's looking at it. It could be, bored people at the government that are like checking Facebook, and they're like, oh, let me just check so and so's phone just because I can. And it's like, how easy is that, for the government? And I think about it, like, I have an iPhone, right? And it's on 24 hours a day. And it has, what does it have on it? It has a camera, and it has a microphone, and it has a tracking GPS. So, pretty much, if the government wanted to, not that I'm saying they would want to track me or anything, but if they wanted to, they could, and it's not like this would take anybody's time or effort. It's just a computer program. They said, do this for all the phones. Like, if they wanted to, they could record 24 hours of audio, 24 hours of video, and 24 hours of GPS tracking up with my phone, and they pretty much know I have it on me. They pretty much know I didn't lose it, I didn't have it. And if they did suspect that, they could actually look in the camera and see that it's not me holding the phone. So, I mean, it's like, that's pretty scary in a sense, because it's like I don't exactly trust people per se. Like, I would trust the government if there was rules and somebody gave me you know a pretty believable explanation why they wouldn't do that, and they couldn't, and there was rules against that unless you did something wrong. Like, unless there was like laws protecting that kind of behavior, I wouldn't feel too bad about knowing that that's possible. You know what I mean? But the fact that that's possible, and the fact that there's just like a revolving door between business and and government, and it's just kind of somebody who's really nefarious is going to find some way to totally exploit this and just kind of be one of these shady people in the world, and prosper and gain through whatever means. And we just need privacy kind of to protect ourselves from ourselves. In other words, it's like, I'm sure with this connected world, like, I'm sure there's been a tenfold increase of the blackmail market, for example. It's like, people know this, they got a hold of this, they found this on your camera, and it's just, I don't know if people are being more cautious now or what, but just because they're just scared that something's going to come out or whatever. And even when things do come out, it's like, it's really, you think about it in the long run, it's like really not that bad or weird or whatever. But it's like, I don't really know where I'm going with this, but no, I do think that we need to protect ourselves from ourselves in a really literal sense. Like, we can't have somebody that just has total access to everybody else. Like, that, there's no one person in this country that can be trusted with that kind of access. I don't care who you are. There has to be steps and checks, and it has to be like, all right, you want to look at that. There has to be a process where everybody's on the level. Like, so, okay, this guy is going to look into this because of so and so. Like, it has to be a form you got to fill out or something that gives you access to doing that, because I guess that doesn't make sense right now. The way it's set up is because the phone companies have all the access, and then they're just granting the government access as well. So right off the bat, I guess the barrier to entry is trusting like Apple and fucking AT&T. And they're not going out of their way to protect you, because that takes time, that takes money, that takes, like, I don't know what, but privacy, man, it's gone, it's done for, forget about it. It was like something we used to have, like in my lifetime. I remember it before the days of the cell phone, you know what I mean? Just like, you were out, nobody didn't know where you were, like, you could be dead. Could have been. You could have. Who knows? Nobody knew. Now everybody got the phone. Call him up. Oh, you all right? You over there? It's like, who cares? I don't know. It's a crazy world we live in.